You know, a true miracle happens, as I said, at every Mass when the priest utters the words of consecration. Sometimes God makes it visible. This was Archbishop Bergoglio. Who was he? Pope Francis. Now, in a small church, which I went to visit, I wanted to learn everything I could about this. The priest was told that a consecrated host had been desecrated and was on a small candle holder in the back of the church. The priest could not consume it. That's pretty sad. That means there was something on it like feces. And he could not consume the host. It was desecrated. So they put it into a glass of water. See? The glass of water. And they put it back into the tabernacle. When a host can't be consumed, what's the proper way to dispose of it? You place it in water. It dissolves, and you either pour it into the ground, onto the ground, or into a sacrarium. Sacrarium. Not an aquarium, a sacrarium. Now, they put this host in the water for it to dissolve. But here's what happened. What should have taken just a couple days to dissolve didn't. When the priest came back and opened up the tabernacle doors 8 days later, the host that he saw had been transformed. It was now a piece of bloody tissue, which was much larger than the original host. And so the priest decided to keep the host in the tabernacle, not publicizing it or its origin, a very humble man. And I met him. And he didn't want any media coverage. He didn't want any news. And so he left it in there. Take a guess how long he left it in there. 3 years. And it never decomposed. This bloody tissue remained. Bread can't last 3 years in water. And so the bloody tissue never decomposed. No special attempt was made to save it. This had not decomposed. This is extraordinary. It's virtually impossible to explain, especially because no attempt was made to preserve it. It wasn't sealed. It wasn't put in some hermeneutic container. So all of a sudden, one of the good friends of our Marian Fathers community got wind of this. And here he is at the National Shrine of the Divine Mercy. This is Dr. Ricardo Castañón Gomez. He lives in Bolivia. And he got wind of this. He is a neurological surgeon or a neurosurgeon and a cardiologist, a heart doctor. And he got wind of this, and he went and he got the bloody tissue. So he took a sample of the bloody tissue fragment and he sent it to New York City. Now, since he did not want any prejudice of the scientific community, because if they found out this was a Catholic host from a Mass, it would have been dismissed. And he knew that they would examine it in New York, the tissue, and he did not want to reveal its source. So he sent the subject, or the top of the matter, to New York, and a team of 5 scientists was assembled, including the famous cardiologist and forensic pathologist, Dr. Frederick Zugabe. He's the author of many books on forensic pathology, and he testified. I got majorly involved in this case. And so Dr. Frederick Zugabe testified that the material is a fragment of human heart muscle found in the wall of the left ventricle of the heart. This muscle is responsible for the contraction of the heart. The left cardiac ventricle pumps blood to all parts of the body. It keeps the body alive. But, he said, this heart tissue is in an inflammatory condition and contains many white blood cells. This indicates that the heart was alive at the time the sample was taken. They said, we have a murder. We have a murder. So now there's chaos. Dr. Castignon's questioned. They assembled a team of scientists to verify, and re-verify. And it said that the heart was alive at the time the sample was taken. And Dr. Frederick Zugby, quote, "It's my contention that the heart was alive because white blood cells die outside a living organism. It had living white blood cells. The white blood cells had penetrated the tissue, which indicates that the heart had been under severe stress, as if the owner had been beaten severely about the chest." What does that sound like? Now, all of this, Dr. Castagnon got the information, and he says, you realize that this eliminates the possibility of fraud, which a critic might propose. For it cannot be thought that the official, this little man at the church, this little priest, had authorized the torture and death of a male with AB blood type, the same on the Shroud of Turin and all the other Eucharistic miracles, had opened his chest while he was still alive after torturing him and removing the tissue from his beating heart. But this is what the test showed. Well, if that's impossible, that this little priest is incapable of that, then how did this specific piece of tissue get into the tabernacle? Now we have a chaos, as I said. So medical evaluation showed that the sample had not decomposed, but yet it could not have been obtained from a deceased body, a cadaver. Because in a cadaver, the white blood cells are gone. They cannot live outside a living being. So what did Castagnon do, Dr. Castagnon? This is unbelievable. So in New York City, they're having a symposium. And they have a bunch of doctors and surgeons and cardiologists, just like you are here today. And Dr. Castagnon flies up. And he gets, because he is a respected PhD medical doctor, cardiologist, neurosurgeon, and he gets on the docket. And he's there in New York City. And in front of him is all these famous doctors and surgeons and cardiologists. And so he's given 10 minutes. This is unreal. So instead of putting up a bunch of medical charts and graphs, you know what he puts up? On the screen, he puts up a piece of bread and a priest and a picture of the Catholic Missal. And the people in the crowd are like, what is this? Is this some kind of joke? And Dr. Castagnon says, wait, I have 10 minutes. You give me a piece of bread, a Catholic priest, and this prayer, and I will give you human heart tissue. They looked at him like, what? And he said, again, you give me a piece of bread, a Catholic priest, and this specific Eucharistic prayer, which he had on the screen, and I will give you human heart tissue. They said, is this some kind of joke? Dr. Zugabe was there. So all of a sudden, everybody starts getting in an uproar. Get rid of this guy. And Dr. Castagnino says, hold on. I took a piece of bread, and a Catholic priest who said this prayer, there we go, okay, and said this prayer, and I sent it to your lab, and your lab told me it was human heart tissue. See, what Dr. Castagnino did, send it to 3 different labs. He didn't send it just to Dr. Zugabe. So then he says, Dr. Taylor, I took a piece of bread, prayed with this prayer over a Catholic priest, and I sent it to your lab, and your lab told me it was human heart tissue. Then he said, Dr. Zugabe, now we're into the world-famous Dr. Zugabe. He said, Dr. Frederick Zugabe, and he was right there in the front. And he said, Dr. Zugabe, I sent your lab, and I have all the evidence, all the documentation. I sent your lab a piece of bread, prayed over by a Catholic priest, using this prayer. I have the documentation. Here it is. And you told me it was human heart tissue.